all of the soy, everything is 100% GMO. And if the countries go in and say, no, that's unsafe, like Spain did, then certain ties within the United States, diplomats go in and say, oh, that's fine. We'll just go ahead and issue trade wars against you and cripple your economy if you don't accept Monsanto. And that's come out through WikiLeaks. The Guardian proved it's real. They actually say, we will destroy your economy if you don't use Monsanto's biotech GMOs. So, of course, the countries say, well, we don't want trade wars with the United States. We'd rather use them. Russia's come out multiple times and said that GMOs are actually unsafe and started to back against it. But over and over, these countries are adopting them because the U.S. is actually paying for the marketing of Monsanto. But it's no surprise to me. Look at Michael Taylor, who had major head at the FDA, but also the Supreme Court has an individual that was formerly with Monsanto as their top lawyer, and he never steps down when voting on Supreme Court issues for Monsanto. But there's over 500 individuals that are both in Monsanto or were in Monsanto that are now major heads of the federal government.
And what's at stake in these GMO initiatives, okay? It's labeling.
Micropayments, that's what's at stake.
They want a label on there. I mean, they've got very stringent labeling rules, but we're not allowed to know if it's GMO in there. And of course, we've got the big soda pop companies that are fighting this because they use high fructose corn syrup, which almost all corn is GMO, and so they're fighting against that as well as Monsanto.
Said that.
Huge corporate sponsorship to fight this. All we want to know is what's in our food.
Well,
that's
just
a crime.
like you said, if Obamacare is so great, then Obama should just come out and show all the pros and the stats and the reality behind it. If GMOs are so safe as Monsanto says, I mean, hey, they fabricated an FDA quote and used the FDA seal and said they're the same as natural organic produce.
What do they have to hide?
What do they have to hide? They should proudly label, this is genetically modified, saves the environment. Oh, wait.
Better living through science and chemistry.
So
they ought to put it on there, you know, the scientific seal on there, except that they don't want to defend the GMO practice. That's the key, is that they don't want it on there because we know what the game is.
We know GMOs are bad, but most people don't know that it's actually the Roundup, the #1 selling herbicide with glyphosate patented by Monsanto as an actual antibiotic, herbicide, and somewhat of a pesticide. Yes, sterilizes men. It's been shown time and time again.
Kills bees.
I actually think Roundup is worse than GMOs. Of course, they're Roundup ready. They have Roundup inside of them, and they're resistant to the actual Roundup, but I think Roundup is worse for your health than the actual GMOs themselves, and Roundup is much more pervasive. You can go to Home Depot right now and buy gallons of Roundup and spray your lawn. Most people do. I've seen it outside. People just spraying their lawn right in front of their faces with Roundup.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see.
Infertile.
It's going to be interesting to, exactly. It's going to be interesting to see tomorrow if people will say, no, I don't want to know what's in my food. Please don't tell me if it's got GMO in it.
Well, and they've got them spooked saying it's going to raise your prices of food. When they started putting the ingredients on the sides of all the food containers, I remember when they didn't have ingredients, and then they started putting ingredients, it didn't raise the prices of food.
Look, they change their labels.
They just say
they change their labels all the time.
Yeah.
They change the labels all the time. It's part of marketing. You know, they'll put new and improved on there.
Our product labels have to be very, very, very precise. The actual amounts of everything we put in there, even for proprietary measures, we have to go in and test it for metals. We have to test it for pesticides. Every single possible thing. We have to do all of this, and we're not charging the end customer hundreds of extra dollars over the course of numerous bottles. That's not how it works.
It's the cost of doing business.
It's the cost of doing business.
The bottom line is they have to get any label they put on food approved now as it is. All they're saying is just that one little thing there. Does it have GMO or not?
Whole
That's the
Foods
only
is doing
change
it
that
by
has to be made.
2017 or 18. The bottom line is, if you're putting GMOs in your product, you know they're genetically modified. It's not hard to put a label on there. I mean, you're going to know.
Some companies are doing it. They have the GMO-free project, and they're saying, hey, it's non-GMO. You know, get my corn chips. They're non-GMO. And those are the ones that I buy.
Yeah. So we're going to find out tomorrow if people really want slavery, if they really want ignorance, if they want to have the ingredients hidden from them, if they want to be able to, if they want to see their neighbors go to jail for having small amounts of marijuana. We'll find out tomorrow about that. We're going to be looking at results. But before we call it quits tonight, let's see what's on the Twitter feed. We've got Leanne McAdoo taking a look at that. Leanne, you got anything there?
Well, guys, I think this will be a good question to end tonight's election coverage and, of course, leave a good cliffhanger for tomorrow night's coverage. DF Truth wants to know, if the GOP takes the Senate, will we really be better off?
Well, there you go. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night because, of course, we're going to have results, and we're going to look at how that's going to affect things. We saw earlier at the beginning of the broadcast foreign policy saying, well, if the Republicans take it, we're going to see Richard Burr probably in the Senate Intelligence chair, chairing that committee. He's going to be even more inclined to enhanced interrogation and NSA dragnet spying than even Dianne Feinstein. She got her feathers ruffled when they spied on her staff when they wanted to release information about CIA's past torture programs. And so she pushed back a little bit. By and large, she's been fine with it. But Richard Burr says he doesn't think the public has a right to know anything about what goes on with the intelligence community. So we're going to see that as...
We should just give them all credit cards and just let them spend it on whatever they want.
Exactly. So, yeah, the question is, and also we saw that Romney just said today that when the Republicans get in, they're going to revitalize the economy. And one of the ways they're going to do that is with new trade agreements. Well, is he talking about the Trans-Pacific?
Yeah, TPP.
The TPP, exactly. The Transatlantic trade partnership. I mean, those things are very, very dangerous. Those are going to be more ways to intimidate other countries, like you mentioned, Anthony, for big corporations to intimidate governments who are trying to protect their people from GMO, from other things, trying to give them medicine at a reasonable price when the big pharmaceuticals are trying to rob them blind. So it's also going to be a backdoor to putting in CISPA, which they haven't been able to push through legislatively, but that's something that is close to the heart of Republicans for whatever reason. I think we're going to see that pick up. I think we're going to see the wars pressed even more so than Obama has done, because they feel that Obama isn't doing enough drone assassination. You know, having multiple wars in his administration started, that's not enough either. We need to have more. Oh,
he's put a foothold into Africa, and he stated that's what the goal is, to go in through AFRICOM under humanitarian crisis. And that's, I think we're just seeing the beginning with this whole Ebola thing, and that's going to be big, which we'll probably see some stuff about Ebola after the election. We've got a whole special we're going to do on Obama's five-finger death punch to the American people. What's going to come after this election? Because I think we're going to be in for a lot of surprises that they're not telling us now. They're holding everything against their chest, and I think right after that it's going to be like, oh, by the way, you're screwed.
Well, we're supposed to believe the Republicans are going to do something to control the borders, to control Obamacare. Why don't they defund Obamacare from the House? I mean, they haven't done anything this entire time. Are we supposed to believe that Mitch McConnell is going to
And they've backed away from that. They've backed away from saying we're going to do anything about Obamacare.
Or the borders.
I've actually got a couple solutions on Obamacare. I currently use one, and it has nothing to do, and it's exempt from the Obamacare laws, and yet it's something people can get into, and I'm going to do a special report on it coming up, especially before it hits the tax season, because people have a right to know about this stuff, and they should get involved with it, and a lot of people can get involved.
Absolutely. Any last comments, Anthony? Or?
Well, I think overall we did a good job breaking down the facade of the elections. We got into the actual inspirational points that you can stand for something, you can actually ignite change. I mean, look at all these marijuana initiatives.
Yeah.
Also look at the GMO initiatives. Look at the fact that just today a report came out about how Kellogg's cereals made with pretty much 100% GMO corn, specifically Roundup Ready GMO corn. And look, we put that out recently, and there's already boycotts going on against Kellogg's. There's already mothers. I'm looking at the comments before I got on the show. There's mothers freaking out saying, oh my God, I didn't know that this contained GMOs. It's a crazy thing to me that they didn't know that, but they didn't. And there's hundreds of comments saying, oh my God, I'm never going to feed my children this again. That's hundreds, well, ultimately thousands and tens of thousands of children that will never be fed GMO corn Kellogg's again, and may never actually develop irritable bowel syndrome, which then gives them gut cancer, which then ruins their lives, which then they're forced to take all the big pharma drugs, and they ultimately may die from the chemotherapy and the radiation, so on and so forth. So that is insane to me. If you actually fathom that and think about that and take that in, thousands of kids will now maybe not get cancer or maybe not develop irritable bowel because people are learning about GMOs, because people are learning about all the things we're talking about today and making changes in their lives. Even if they're micro changes, they can affect everyone in a major way. That's real, and that's powerful, and that's breaking beyond the facade.
Yeah, that's word of mouth, and kids are going to tell their friends, who will tell their parents, and it'll start spreading, you know, the way stuff used to spread without the internet.
Yes.
Where, you know, word of mouth used to be very powerful, and it still is. It's a powerful way to make things happen.
Well, we're going to be back tomorrow night. We're going to start at 6 p.m. Central Time. Alex Jones is going to be joining us. One of the things we didn't get to tonight, we're also going to talk about tomorrow night, not only the results, not only the different ways that elections are gamed, about the different methods of fraud. We're going to talk about how you can transcend the system. There's a lot to be done as an activist, a lot of things that can be done to check the power of government individually and collectively at the local level. And so we're going to talk to people from the Free State Project. People there have looked at both elections and at direct activism. So join us tomorrow night. We'll begin at 6 p.m. Central. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. Today I'd like to talk about the war on women. You've experienced and heard about the benefits of super male vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. Key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Each of these ingredients works synergistically with the female body in order to maximize overall vitality. You've heard the reviews and the feedback on how the original Super Male Vitality has revitalized relationships. Now, both the man and the woman can have the revitalization in their own bodies with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at INFOWARSLife.com.
Of Texas. If California